There's a canon reason for Dracula to be barefoot, and it is that Victoria Frankenstein, when Dracula was brought in, when he was captured, she removed his boots to humiliate him in front of the other monsters.
Victoria Frankenstein. Yes, Frankenstein.
Yes.
I'm Demi, theme park YouTuber, aka Magical Hijinks.
And I'm entertainment journalist Joey Nolfi, and we've both been diagnosed with terminal theme park obsession, and we're definitely going to spread it to you on the Park Peeps podcast.
We've got years of theme park knowledge, so join us as we serve piping hot takes, park tea, offer the best travel hacks and tips, and chat with guests in the theme park space.
So sit down, buckle in, and pull up on that yellow strap while we dispatch for the Park Peeps podcast. It's alive! And by alive, I mean only our spirits, of course, because after multiple collective visits to Epic Universe between us and our guest today, the souls of our feet are absolutely deceased, but not as deceased and crusty as the Dracula animatronics Bare Feet and Monsters Unchained The Frankenstein Experiment.
Joining us to talk all things epic, now that we've experienced it for ourselves, is a very special guest, our dear friend and someone who absolutely wants to kiss Dracula animatronic on the mouth so bad that she even made a full-on t-shirt saying as much. And that is not a joke. This is very real, people.
Yes.
Please welcome our dear friend and top-tier park peep, Quincy from AllEars.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
So much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and you are joining us in full lay regalia today.
Yes.
For those who cannot see, Quincy really went all out and matched her hair to her lay that she is wearing around her neck right now.
I demand only orange lays.
You know what? Yes. Yeah, there is a joke there somewhere. And, but Quincy, I'm so happy that you are here. This has been such a long time coming. You are truly, and I tell people this all the time, you and Emma, my entire life, I have been a park person, but when I met you and Emma on the Hong Kong Disneyland trip, AJ promised me, she was like, you're going to be bound to these people for the rest of your life. And I was like, when I met y'all, it was instant. And y'all have become some of my best friends. And I am so excited that we are doing this. Here we are 2 years later on the pod. On the pod.
And honestly, no one is better for this epic conversation than you, Quincy, between your experience, Joey's experience, my experience, and our shared experiences that we cannot wait to talk about.
Yes. No, we're going to get into all of that. And I want to just very quickly, before we get into the epic stuff, we got to pick your brain about this crazy press release that just came out from Tokyo Disneyland, the Oriental Land Company, that was everybody was freaking out because it looks like in this concept art, they have removed Aquatopia from Disney Sea and replaced the Jungle Cruise, the train, and the Tiki Room with Up, The Incredibles, and Moana. So, from your expert opinion on this, should we be freaking out, or what is going on with this concept art?
It's difficult because of the Oriental Land Company element.
Right.
It's dealing with Oriental Land Company owns that park outside of Disney. They make a lot of the decisions where Disney still kind of manages the main imaging in the park and things like that, which means there's a little bit less basis for us to go off of what is going to happen there. My heart inclination and brain inclination is that we should be freaking out. They mean business and they're going to take that stuff out.
Oh.
So they saw the Orlando folks being Rivers of America, who? She's gone. They're okay, so we can mess with the classics too.
Yeah, I know that Tokyo is an Oriental Land Company is awesome about listening to their audience and keeping track of what particularly their Japanese guests are interested in their park, because that's who's going.
Yeah.
And so it would not surprise me at all if those areas are not hitting as hard with those audiences.
True. Yeah.
And so they're peace out. How about Up?
I was fully expecting you to be on what I was thinking, and that like I told Demi when this first came out, I was like, oh, I feel like this is just like the Disneyland Forward quote unquote concept art we got like 3 years ago that was just like, this is what this land is capable of.
Yeah.
But that is so scary. Okay, now I'm double scared.
Sorry.
I mean, like, I'm not surprised at all. Like, exactly what Quincy said. If they saw how much Disney is getting rid of lands like Muppets and Rivers of America, like, they were like, oh, we can do this too. But the fact that this is all happening at once while we are literally, like, in the process of, like, starting to grieve all of our losses in Orlando, this is too much to handle.
They're like, just do it all. Just rip the whole freaking Band-Aid off. Just do it all. Make everybody around the world cry. They're like, yeah. So we have them making the decision to remove Rivers of America for the literal global ripple effect. That's what the conclusion we've come to.
A global ripple effect. Yeah.
Lovely. Well, there, we discussed it. We got it out of the way.
Check.
That was painful. That was super checking it off the list. Yes, we're getting right through it. There is actually one more check that I have to make on this list before we talk about Epic, because I know Demi and I are so excited. I've been getting all of the texts, all of the videos of like Demi even ran into my cousins there. Well, my cousin and her girlfriend.
Your cousins, and I was like, I know those people. And then as they walked by me, I went, Joey's cousins, and they were gone.
Right. Yeah, my cousin and her girlfriend, Stephanie and Lindsay, who do listen to every episode. Hi, Stephanie and Lindsay. They
ran into me in the bathroom in Celestial Park. And they're like, "You're Demi." I'm like, "Yeah." Oh, we're Joey's family. I'm like, oh my gosh! It was so cool. And so then we took a selfie and we sent it to Joey, and we're just like, ran into some friends.
I was gagged. I was so gagged. And so I have been getting all of the content from both of you when you're there. I, however, do have to preface this by saying that I was able to attend an Epic Universe media preview on behalf of Entertainment Weekly, which is where I work. I was not invited on behalf of the Park Peeps podcast. I attended on a media preview for Entertainment Weekly, and I do want to point everybody to EW's coverage from that, EW.com. You can read my article on Eddie Redmayne's return in the Ministry of Magic Land and the Les Arc Arcanu, not Les Arc Arcanus, as I was saying it for many times. We have a full write-up on that. That is where you can go to see my full professional, trajectory with Epic is at EW.com. So make sure you go there and check that out, because that is how I attended this media preview. But Demi, Mama, you took yourself there. I took myself there.
You guys, I flew in on the first, on a Tuesday. Helios opened Wednesday. I got that video out in the morning. So if you want to see my full tour of Helios Grand Hotel, that is out. Full details with Bar Helios. The next day was the first day of previews from the park. I did the entire park. With entry from Helios, the early entry, that is on the channel. And then I have released now all 5 foodie guides. I've did foodie guides to every land at Epic Universe. I have officially eaten everywhere at Epic Universe, except for the Blue Dragon, because that has not yet opened. And I'm waiting to do the Atlantic, possibly with Joey, if that's possible.
That's right.
So that we can do fish
our milkfish.
Whatever we're calling it now. Yes. But I've eaten everywhere, and I'm giving you honest reviews, so you know what to expect in each land. And I'm going to have more Epic content coming, of course, very soon.
And Quincy, we should also point to all of because AllEars also has it covered, with Epic stuff. Y'all have a lot of videos on AllEars, and everybody should absolutely go check that out too, because AllEars, I love that you guys take a different, it's not just you take a very, it's almost like game show style approaches sometimes, which is really you guys get to some really wild places with that. So everybody should definitely go check out AllEars Epic content as well. But y'all, let's do what we came here to do. Let's talk about our feelings on Epic, because this is, obviously you all know that, I was... just the thought of Epic just made me just cry before I even got to the park. I was just so excited to go. Did you both cry when you first got to the Kronos? Were both full on tears? Because Quincy, you weren't in my media group, so I didn't get to see you approach the Kronos for the first time.
So when I walked up to the Kronos for the first time,
Quincy's no.
So I did cry, but I'll be honest, I had sunscreen in my eyes. It's unclear to me if it was legitimate tears or if I was having a reaction to the chemicals that were flowing into my eyes as I desperately tried to take pictures of the Kronos, and I couldn't see. So yes.
Yes, but not for reasons that everybody else did. And Demi is now crying at that story.
I'm crying now. I don't know if it's from laughter or from the sunscreen.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Well, Quincy's like, no, you babies. I didn't cry. It was chemical reaction.
I cried at, like, I should have cried walking into the park. I cried, like, maybe 20 minutes later. After I didn't cry at the walking into the park, I didn't cry walking into Burke, which was my first land.
Oh,
I cried when a team member in Burke said, "Welcome, Voyagers. We are so excited for you to be here. Yeah. Welcome to Burke, and I hope your travels were nice." And to me, that was my I'm at Epic Universe moment, because these team members have worked so hard on it. That's when I cried.
Not me. Okay, wait, hold on. Counterpoint, just like you counterpointed my crying. Do you remember me complaining and being like, they keep calling me a Viking. I'm not a Viking. Oh, no.
Joey and I are very different people.
Yes. But also somehow the same. Like, I don't, it's crazy. It's but yeah, I remember being like, I wasn't like complaining about it, but I was like, I'm not a Viking. Why do they keep calling me a Viking? And somebody in my group was like, it's called immersive theming, Joey.
This is the theater that Joey hates, everyone.
Yeah, that's true. Well, actually, I will say, okay, so we can now add a good segue into talking about the lands. We can add a show to my very small list of shows that I actually do like in theme parks with Le Cirque Arcanu.
Nice.
Because that opening, I won't spoil it for people that haven't been to it, but that pre-show, I know it's probably such a simple visual trick that like has been done many times before, but like when I saw that and I saw that costumed character come out of that thing, I was like, my mouth was on the floor. And and the way that stage just changes from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, and the incorporation of Eddie and just all of, like, I mean, it was, I thought it was such an amazing show. And that is a show that I would actually go do again. Like,
wow.
You didn't like the show,
Breaking news. No, I'm just so surprised. Oh. Actually, that was the one thing I did not have time to do was to see the show.
Oh, no.
Listen, I meant to say before, I was there for Helios and then 2 more days. I then flew home I flew home to New York Saturday morning. I flew back down to Epic Thursday morning, and I was there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, flew back home Saturday night. So I was there 2 weeks in a row, flying back and forth. I had 5 days in the park, and I was trying to get those foodie guides done. You can't film inside Le Cirque. I want to see it so bad. Don't get me wrong. First of all, I love Cirque, and I think that's going to be an amazing show. But because I had limited time and I wanted to get those things done, and I also wanted to get out another video that will be coming out soon, I had to skip it. But it's like the first thing on my list as soon as I get back in that park.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, Quincy, what did you think of that show?
I love Le Cirque Arcanu. I've seen it twice now. Cool. And I think it's incredibly done. It is many wow moments strung together. Oh, yes. And I think it has a lot of like mystique to it, and there are a couple of big surprises. I just think it's so well done. It's lengthy.
It is long.
It's lengthy. Like the whole experience, I timed it last time I did it. The whole experience once the pre-show starts is 27 minutes, including the pre-show.
So, that is a long time. Yes, I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah, so you've got your little pre-show, and then you have to move into the full theater space, which takes time, and then you have the full show. It was 27 minutes when I did it, and maybe that'll be a change, we don't know, but it's a long time commitment. That's not including queuing at all. So It's a long time commitment, which I think is my one negative to it. I have a really hard time with theme park shows that are over 25 minutes, as 25 is kind of my cap. But that said, Epic has 12 rides, and not everybody's going to want to do all of those rides. And I would easily put Le Cirque Arcanu above many of them. So I think it was awesome.
Yeah.
And something that I realized because we had finally a bad weather day, I was checking the app. When there's bad weather and there's lightning in the air, there's a lot of outdoor attractions, and there's only 4 attractions open when there's bad weather, and one is Ministry, and you need the virtual queue for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm hopefully there's going to be many shows running throughout the day because we really need those 2 extra things for people to do, because otherwise it's going into shops and going into quick services, hopefully, but
there's a lot of quick service.
With the quick services, as you'll see in my foodie guides, it's, Universal does that, it's table service. So you need to first get a table in order to sit down and order food. So you're sometimes waiting in a queue just to sit down at a table.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of queuing.
Yeah. So
a lot of queuing.
I'm kind of glad that it's kind of a little bit of a long experience.
Yeah.
It does, like the fact that there are so many outdoor things as well, I know has been a talking point for people once they've been in, especially in Burke, and there's a lot of talk about the sight lines in Burke, and I'm like, I don't know if it was just because I was so excited to be there. I did notice that when you're going up the second launch on Hiccups, you can very, very much see outside of the park, but that, like, I don't know, it didn't. I think what it's done so well, everything else, that look, I'm not 4. I know that I'm in a theme park, so it didn't bother me. I mean, I know I'm not actually in the Isle of Burke, and I'm not actually a Viking, but that did not bother me. Being able to see Stardust over Burke did not bother me in any way. I'm like, I'm literally at a theme park, so I know. But it is kind of like Disney would never.
Yeah, people are really upset about sightlines. I truly don't care. What I really have an issue with for especially Burke is the lack of shade. I know a lot of trees haven't grown in, but I love this park so much. Like, you guys, I want to be in this park every single day of my life.
Same.
But bring your umbrella hats because there's
or your
not
Wolfman
much shade.
hats.
Yeah, but it's like worth it. It's so good.
Oh, it's so worth it. It is so worth it. But we should talk. Let's start there with like because I do want to get like our favorite lands, our favorite things to do. So like, what is
I think we all know what
our favorite land is. Should we just go for it? I mean, on the count of 3, like favorite land. I think it's gonna be 1, 2, 3. Dark Universe.
Quincy. Are you serious?
For myself as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shocked.
I know.
Quincy.
I know.
Quincy.
It's really interesting too, because I actually am not. My favorite Isle of Burke ride is Fire Drill. So that should tell you how I feel about the other 2 rides. I'm sorry. I just realized I just said something really controversial. I'm sorry. I should have prefaced.
Are you trolling us on this podcast?
This is amazing.
No, Isle of Burke, on my first day in, I actually didn't ride a single How to Train Your Dragon ride.
Oh, I remember you told me that. Yeah.
I didn't get on a single one. And I left the park feeling like Isle of Burke was my favorite land. I thought that was perhaps a expectations gap situation where I've been dreaming of Dark Universe, and I'm a Universal Monsters girl. Dracula is my favorite book. I've been dreaming about that land, and it met my expectations. Yep. Burke, I love those movies. I've seen them, but I was never a stan of the How to Train Your Dragon films. So, and I was like a dragon kid, but like that's not the same as being a stan of those films. So I was like excited, but I wasn't jumping out of my skin excited about it. And I just find that land so enchanting and magical to be in.
Yeah.
And like
massive.
It's massive. Seeing dragons for me, like all around everywhere, and the way they've done it is so awesome that it like really enchanted me. And that hasn't gone away on my return visits. That might change, but right now Isle of Burke is my favorite land, despite not loving the rides, which is so wild. I'm so sorry to Hiccups Wing Gliders, and everybody else will like that better than Fire Drill. I promise it's just me.
I need to know now because I finally wrote it, and I think it's going to be such one of those underrated coasters. It's so fun, and why don't you are not a fan of it?
So I've been calling it Hagrid's little brother, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure little brother, because it feels like Hagrid's light. It's not right for my body in a couple of ways. One, I've never had a ride vehicle, personally, I'm very fortunate that I've never had a ride vehicle not be right for the way that I am shaped, and Hiccups Wing Gliders is not right for me. Something about my height and the way that my body is shaped, it is impossible. I've been on the ride 3 times, and every single time I've tried to give myself ample room when I put my lap bar down, and every single time it's biting into my legs. like cutting off circulation.
Wow.
So that's one of the issues. And I would love, if anyone's listening to this and has a similar experience when you ride it, I would love to hear. Emma's riding it soon. We're actually going tomorrow. And Emma is only a little bit shorter than me. And like we have similar proportions. So I'm really curious if she has this issue. She knew what I was talking about from other coasters when I explained it. But just, I've never had that experience personally. I'm very fortunate. This is a ride that I have that experience. I'm able to ride it. It is not comfortable for me. And then also this is wild. I gray out on roller coasters, which is where you can really?
I was telling Demi about this. Yeah.
You lose vision for like your eyes just stop working. I gray out typically on like VelociCoaster, Hulk. Like that's when I'm graying out.
Hulk for sure.
Don't gray out on Stardust Racers. I gray out 2 times on Hiccup Swing Gliders.
Wow.
Well, the coaster. So the coaster nerd in me is going to come out. Number 1, have you tried riding upside down?
Have I tried riding upside down?
Yes, like getting into the Hiccup Swing Glider upside down, just like get in head first and then legs up.
Now that's a good idea.
Not my joke falling completely flat.
Well, you prefaced it with the coaster expert in me. Like you were just so deadpan that I was ready for your coaster facts.
And I was like, is this like a fun new safe way to sit down into the vehicle?
I was like, is it like Stardust? Are there 2 tracks? And I've been completely oblivious.
That's my joke flopping on its face. Just telling you to get in, like handstand first. But no, I will say, okay, so my brother is training to be a pilot, and he told me, because I told him that Hulk always makes me gray out, the thing that you have to do is when you feel it happening, and I'm going to tell you, I feel like I know exactly when it's happening to you on this ride without you even telling me. It happens right after you come up from under the water and do that turnaround.
Yes.
Yep. There are so many positive forces in that helix. That helix actually surprised me with how many. There's a lot of positive forces there. Yes. And so you have to do that thing. Did you ever do that thing when you were little and like when you would get mad and you were trying to prove to your parents why that like you were not going to do something and you like went and made all the blood rush to your head?
Yeah. Like make your face turn red. Yeah.
Yep. Do that. Okay. And that's what they tell pilots to do when they start to gray out, and it will completely take it away. It doesn't happen to me on Hulk anymore.
Wow. Okay. I'll have to do that.
Yes. But Stardust, there are not very many positive forces. So that is not surprising to me that there's a lot of negative forces on Stardust, which means like airtime flying out of the seat, but then positive forces like pushing into the seat. Yes. Which does rule. However, there is transitioning to... Wait, did you say Fire Drill is your favorite ride in the whole park?
No.
Oh, okay. Just Berg. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right.
You guys would have to throw this episode. I'd be like, no, you wouldn't
Quincy.
be able to speak to me ever again. No one could consider me credible if I said that.
No, exactly. Yeah, I would have to put you away, Quincy.
I would be like, Quincy, you are not allowed to ever kiss the Dracula animatronic ever for saying that. But I think, okay, so my favorite ride, I think the favorite, like, actual physical sensation experience, like, it's gotta be Stardust. Like, that is just, it's such an amazing coaster. I do think it's better than VelociCoaster.
Yes.
Overall picture, which is the antithesis, Demi, to like what I was saying about why I think VelociCoaster is so great, because I think it's such a good physical ride, but the theming is also so great. But like Stardust has like virtually no theming, but I think that it is just such a superior ride. But there is a very interesting moment of crazy forces on there that I have never felt before in my life on a roller coaster. And there were rumors that it was, especially in the back row, way too intense for the forces that it was putting on the human body when they were first testing it, and they had to do some modifications. That is unconfirmed. I have no idea if that's true or not. That is what I was seeing when it was first testing. But there's a moment, and I don't know if either of you, did y'all ride in the back row? The back row at all?
I don't remember.
So there is a crazy moment when you are right after the first launch. And there is a surprise right on that first launch that also got me really good. I'm not going to tell people what it is, but it got me real good on that first launch. When you crest the top hat in the back row only, you are kind of like flung out because of the negative forces. And then when you come down and you're bottoming out at the bottom of that first top hat hill, the forces are like misaligned, and it full on like you go from being up out of your seat to the forces like pushing you down from your back, and it like sandwiched me in half, like so that my stomach was on the restraint. I have never felt that before in my life on a roller coaster. It was like slightly alarming, but like also incredible. But it was crazy. So I was like, oh yeah, damn, I can see what people were saying about the forces on this maybe being too intense when they were first testing it.
But did you do the green side first or the yellow side first?
I did the green side first in the front seat, and then I did the yellow side in the very back seat.
Okay. Well, I think this is a great transition into our Stardust experience, because Quincy and I ran into each other on our first park preview day. So we were both coming from Helios, and they told us, okay, you can either go to Super Nintendo World or you can go to Stardust Racers. And so we went to Stardust Racers, and we get on the queue. She's like, oh, can you wait a second? I just got to film this thing. I'm like, okay, no problem, Quincy. I'll wait for you. She films her thing. We go onto the queue together. You have to put your stuff in the locker. And
I've also never heard this story before. I've been told it's great. So this is my real reaction, whatever we're going to get.
So after I put my stuff in the locker, I'm like looking around. Quincy's just gone. I go up the stairs, you go through the metal detector, and I go, and like there's nobody there at this time, right? So I go right to the queue, and I see Quincy sitting down inside the vehicle. We're both on the yellow side. Quincy literally abandons me.
Oh my God.
Me, and I waved to her. I'm like, bye, Quincy.
She went, bye, Quincy, and I went, Demi!
We like just realized, oh no, I'm not with Demi anymore.
As if you're surprised by your own actions, Quincy. Look at Demi.
Let me tell you the experience that I was having.
Yeah, please, justify this.
So I was very scared of riding Stardust Racers because I am not a coasters girl. I used to love them as a teenager, but now they're very intense for me. A lot of them give me headaches, mess up my stomach. I'm not big on coasters. Like I ride coasters when I need to for work, but I skip Everest unless I'm doing a challenge. That's where I'm at.
I didn't know this about you.
Yeah, so I'm not, I can ride them. I do ride them. I often pre-medicate. It's just not something I enjoy anymore because they make me feel bad. So I was dreading Stardust because I had heard it was so intense. And everyone's comparing it to VelociCoaster. And I was so nervous. And on top of that, I had a very tight schedule that day that we're at kickoff. So I was like, I had these two things. I'm with Demi, and I was like, amazing. I get to ride with somebody I know. I'm so nervous, and Demi will be here. Perfect. I get to the lockers, and they're scanning my face, which I knew about. But I was like, man, I got to get these content of these lockers. And that's when I started to get really nervous when I put all my stuff down. I didn't have my camera, and I was like, I just have to go. I just have to go get on the ride. I go up. I go. I get on the ride. And then when Demi walked up, I was so nervous. I just forgot about everyone existing at all. Like I remember staring at the flux capacitor because a fun Easter egg on this ride is that the flux capacitor from Back to the Future is on the back of the ride train, which is awesome. Yeah. I remember staring at the flux capacitor just like dead-eyed with fear in my heart. And I'll tell you, no one in the world existed to me at that time, including Demi.
So Demi's presence jump-started your brain.
So as soon as I see Demi, and I mean, I cannot stress enough, it was the moment the coaster was about to go. Like, then Demi went, Quincy, and I went, Demi! And the coaster went.
It was literally like she forgot I existed and then realized I did at that moment.
It was like Catherine O'Hara in Home Alone. Like, it
was, Kevin! Demi! Kevin! Wait, so I will say, this is also consistent. Demi, you and I have now both had Quincy disappearances because there was a moment last summer when we were at D23, Quincy and Emma had just gotten off the plane and booked it to Disneyland. I had been there all day. So I meet up with them. I
forgot about this.
We do Autopia. We're having the time of my life because my girls are here. We're having a good old time. And we're just walking. Me and Emma are just walking and we're going to get on Jungle Cruise. And I remember
Which
we
we had
turned around and we're
discussed.
just like
That was the plan.
fully discussed, because the
With me.
objective, I think with you, the objective, the video, correct me if I'm wrong, but the video was doing all of the original attractions for the parks that you were in one day. So like in Disneyland or in Disney World and Disneyland.
Indeed.
So like we're thinking opening day attractions, like attractions that are Jungle Cruise. Let's do that next. We're walking over there. And me and Emma are like about to get in line. And then we realize, oh, wait, Quincy's not here. We turn around. Quincy is making a beeline for Galaxy's Edge. Like far, like away.
They called me and they were like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in Galaxy's Edge.
Yes. And I look at Emma and I was like, oh yeah, a famous opening day attraction, Rise of the Like, I don't understand. I still to this day don't understand what happened there. But Emma, I just kind of followed Emma's lead because she was just kind of like, it happens. And I was like, okay.
I do the same thing too. My husband cannot stand going to like anywhere with me, I guess, because I disappear. But like I do the same thing too. And I my nickname is the linebacker because I'll like weave through all the crowds too to like
just
get away
gone.
faster than everyone because that's the real New Yorker in me. But why did you go to Galaxy's Edge?
Yeah, why?
I don't know. I remember this. And I remember truly and deeply, I remember wandering. And I remember being like, oh, it would be good to go that way, I guess. And then wandering into Galaxy's Edge.
You rejoined us at Bengal Barbecue as if nothing had happened, and we just accepted it. And it was okay.
To be fair, Demi and I reuniting, for me, that's been one of my favorite moments I've had at Epic. Because we were both coming off of an immediate reaction of Stardust, our first time on Stardust.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for Demi, now knowing that she existed once again.
Yeah, she waited for me. I really appreciated
How
that.
How sweet.
And we like, I'm coming down the stairs and I see her there. And we're both just still in this like state of like, oh my gosh. And we both look at each other and we're just like, this is the greatest coaster in the world. Like,
we were like shouting at each other. We were like, this is the greatest roller coaster of all time. We're like shouting. We were jumping up and down.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's that,
it was
like,
pure. It was so pure.
It was very pure.
We should then, because I remember I posted a TikTok saying like my full review of it at when I got off it. And there were people that were in my mentions that were like, you are insane for saying that this is better than VelociCoaster. And I'm just like, okay, VelociCoaster, Demi, VelociCoaster is my baby girl.
Yeah.
She is my baby girl. When I go to Islands of Adventure, I post a story every time. It's like, there she is. There's my baby girl, like from the comeback. That's my girl. But like Stardust, the things it does to your body and those moments, I get chills. And like I said it in this review that I did, that it full on, like, I get into conversations with my friend Nick, who like studied art and was very much against like classifying themed entertainment as art. But I'm like, the pure kinetic motion of it and the lights and the side by and all the interactions, like it's an experiential art piece to me in so many ways. Like I have never in my life, because I actually never got to do Dueling Dragons, but the way that coaster interacts with the other train, it is artful. It is beautiful, both when you're watching it and both when you're riding it. Like it is such a crazy experience. And I truly do think, now we'll see if because I'm going to go down again and I'm going to do Stardust and I'm going to make sure to do VelociCoaster on the same trip to really solidify which one is number one for me. But right now, I'm on the side of Stardust being the best coaster in Orlando. So what do y'all think?
Stardust for me was the best roller coaster I've ever done in my entire life. I think it would be so incredibly difficult for something to top that. And I live near Carowinds, which has a lot of famous coasters when I was younger. Mm-hmm. So I did Carowinds coasters all the time. I was on, opening year of Intimidator and Fury and all those rides. Like I rode those all the time, season passes and stuff. I've done Busch Gardens around the country. I've done a lot of roller coasters. I've done roller coasters around the world. AllEars Racers, for me, and this sounds silly, but if you're listening to this, you probably love theme parks, so maybe you won't think it's silly. But for me, when I was a teenager, I loved intense roller coasters. I loved Intimidator. I loved, it used to be called Top Gun, but they changed the name of it, and I always called it Top Gun at Carowinds. Those are my coasters.
Oh, Afterburn. I think it's called Afterburn now.
Thank you. Yeah. And Borg, which is also not Borg. I think.
Oh, it's gone now.
Yeah,
it's gone.
and it's
Nighthawk.
gone. Those were my, core for me. And I'll tell you, like, I can't ride those anymore. Like, not comfortably. I can ride them and I'd be fine, but I can't enjoy them anymore because of how they make me feel. Stardust was a roller coaster with the level of thrill and intensity of those kinds of coasters, and it didn't make me feel anything from a motion perspective, a pain perspective. There were no forces on me that caused me to grab nothing. And my coworker Breedlove described it. He's a massive coaster enthusiast, and he is hesitant to call it the best coaster of all time, as I have been, but he's been calling it the perfect coaster. And he described it as ergonomically designed. And I love that description of it.
Yeah.
But it's weirdly sentimental for me, because when I was younger, I could experience these things and I loved them so much. And it's something that I've fallen out of love with over the years, just because of the way my body is. And I don't obviously mourn that. It's like, it happens slowly. But when I got off Stardust Racers, that was the first time in over a decade that I've been able to ride a coaster that thrilled me. And I felt fine during it, and nothing harsh that experience. And for me, that was sentimental and special. Like, this coaster gave me something I didn't think I was ever going to have again, in letting me ride a coaster that was that thrilling and not putting me in any pain. So for me, Stardust there are a lot of incredible accomplishments at Epic. I think that Stardust deserves every single one of its flowers. And, like, I will personally fight anyone with negative things to say about it. That's not true, but maybe I would. But, like, I loved that ride. I truly, like, I've only ridden it the once. I need to go back and ride it again. I'll probably ride it tomorrow, and I need to ride it at night. But
me too.
It is
so good at night.
I literally had an emotional response to it, because it was bringing back something. Like, imagine something you loved as a kid that you can't do anymore, and suddenly you could do it again all of a sudden. Like, that's what that coaster is for me. So I love it.
I feel this so much because I didn't grow up doing the big coasters. I was too afraid. And then I finally started being able to do them. And then back in 2019, I was in a really bad car accident, which left me with chronic migraines and herniated discs. And so I'm very cautious and careful of how, when, and what coasters I do nowadays. And that's why I've always been, like, such a Hagrid stan, because besides the theming, like, it's just, like, fun. I don't feel sick from it. And as much as I appreciate VelociCoaster, I sometimes get off that not feeling good. And it's something that I don't mind skipping. Now, Stardust, again, just like Quincy, we both got off when we were like, we don't feel sick from this.
Yeah.
I did feel like a little bit more on the green side once I finally did it, but not as bad. Green's a little
more intense,
It's a little more intense, but it really wasn't as bad. And I so agree with you of just, like, that feeling of, like, oh, wow, I can have this, like, extreme fun experience again and not feel like I'm dying.
Yeah, it's so rare.
Which is so funny, because you would think the big coaster could do that to you. But the one attraction that did give me that horrible feeling was Donkey Kong.
I do. Donkey Kong. Yeah.
About the Donkey Kong minecart madness, which I've been waiting for so long, because I've been waiting for that land expansion. I was this close to riding it in Japan, and then they pushed the date. And so I was like, finally. And that's the longest line in the park consistently because of the loading capacity.
The capacity is so bad.
Even the single rider is just as long. I finally get on it. I'm so excited. And all of a sudden, the cars start to shake on purpose. And I was like, oh no, I hate this. I was like, I'm dying. And I couldn't even really appreciate the effect of it all, because I was just like, oh, as soon as I see the effect, it's starting to shake.
Right. Yeah, I don't necessarily know. I don't think that that's on purpose. I do think I think it's a track issue. I think that because it is a prototype ride, like, I mean, actually the one in Japan is the prototype. This is technically the second one, but I mean, the design itself is so brand new. It's never been done before. And there is something about the way that boom sort of sits the forces just are not distributed properly.
I
like
think
you
it
can
makes
tell.
sense because I mean, like it's just you're so far from the actual track that there's just room for it to shake. It's the same thing as like when you have like a non-stabilizing, like, sorry to get technical on camera stuff, but if you have like a non-stabilizing gimbal in your hand or like handle, if it's longer, you're going to have a lot more shake in that because it's so far from where the movement is happening.
Great comparison.
So it's the same thing. Like it's like the coaster's being held feet away and it's heavy and it's strong. It's being held by something strong, but it's still being held far away. So there's just going to be more shake.
Yeah. That was the only thing I think that I came off of that day. I wouldn't say I was like disappointed, but I was like, because it's such a I mean, that section is, I think that section, the vibe is better than the rest of Super Nintendo. I think that it's great. That turnaround when it goes across the water, that is beautiful. Like it is such a beautiful, fun ride to watch. But I think I was a little underwhelmed by the actual experience because it was so rough in ways that just, like, I like a herky-jerky wooden roller coaster. I love that. I think that that's great. But this felt like when you're feeling the jerks of it, it doesn't feel just like, oh, a fun herky-jerky wooden roller coaster. It feels like, oh, something's wrong. Like, it just feels uncomfortable. And it's a great concept. But I just, like, I don't know. I think some concepts maybe... it's a really interesting concept, and it will definitely go down in like coaster history as one of the most unique coasters ever built, if not the most unique coaster ever built. But yeah, it was a little, that was the only thing that I came off of being like, I don't think I'm ever going to do that again.
One attraction at Epic. I've done all of them now, except for Dragon Racers Rally. I'm too afraid to do that. Which is funny. Like I will do like the most intense coaster, but like those, I don't like those armed ones. I've seen too many problems and it freaks me out. But that is the one coaster that I had to take some Tylenol afterward, or run attraction in general. And I say that like after, and I even felt like a little dizzy after my first Monsters. I don't anymore after the first one. But I didn't need to take Tylenol. I was fine after. This was the only one I was like, no, I don't feel good.
Well, Demi, I'm so glad that you brought up Monsters because we've had Quincy here and we got to talk about it. This is the main event because I feel like everybody's been saying this is like the spiciest land of Epic Universe.
It's so spicy.
It really is. And
Guys, go ahead.
Oh, no. No, what were you going to say? Okay. Well, not only because like there are literal spicy foods in here, but there is some lore that I believe Quincy found out on the Monsters Unchained ride.
My gumshoe journalism hitting the streets of for journalism everywhere. I found this one out, you guys.
I'm so excited about this because I don't know what it is yet.
Quincy, would you like to share?
Sure. So as you may have seen around the interwebs, if you're plugged into Epic, particularly TikTok, I think this is a big combo. Dracula's barefoot on the ride.
Fully.
Just fully barefoot, dressed to the nines otherwise. But otherwise the dogs are out. They're barking. But
multiple times?
I mean, there's many Draculas in there. So Dracula's barefoot. And I did not clock that at all when I rode.
Oh, I did.
Okay, sure. But the
I did. It's very obvious. It is so obvious and it's so weird.
Staring lovingly into his eyes and judging how far I'd have to lean out of the ride vehicle to plant one on him. But the folks in my VIP group knew about this discourse, and they asked my VIP tour guide, "What's up? Dracula's barefoot." And he shared with me and the folks who were standing there that there's a canon reason for Dracula to be barefoot. And it is that Victoria Frankenstein, when Dracula was brought in, when he was captured, she removed his boots to humiliate him in front of the other monsters. And it was agreed in my tour group that means Victoria Frankenstein. Oh my gosh, I have to tell you something about Victoria Frankenstein.
Yes, Frankenstein.
Yes. So Victoria, I have learned something else about her. That it's also in this vein.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
And I think we should call her Victoria Freakenstein.
That's what I just said. Yeah, that's what I just said. So I was talking to Igor.
Yes.
My guy.
He
my
rules.
cousin.
Demi's cousin.
Yeah, we're cousins. We're fifth cousins twice removed. I told
Love
him
it.
that. He told me he doesn't want to be related to me, so I have to get murdered around Darkmoor, and then he's going to find my body, and then he's going to use my body to make a million monsters so that he could be related to a million monsters.
Oh, okay. That's cool, actually. He called me blah blah.
Oh, great.
I'm not.
Great.
I don't know why, but I was speaking to him, and he asked if we were there for the Darkmoor press for his cover feature, and obviously I was once he asked.
Yes.
So me and my coworker Sage were talking to him, and Sage asked Igor. You know, everybody talks about Victoria and the experiments. They talk about what Igor does, but I want to know what drives Igor. And Igor told us that what drives Igor is Victoria's favorite riding crop that she gets off the wall every morning to drive Igor to do his best work. I have it on camera. So,
okay.
Victoria Freakenstein.
Victoria Freakenstein. I am going to... Okay. It is now... Please let me, when we go back in May, to ask for a follow-up on this. Yeah. We need to continue this narrative and get to the bottom of this, because that is... So they fully know this is the Freakland.
They know it's the Freakland.
I'll
say one thing about Universal is they don't shy away from like their experiences being a little freaky, a little flirty, a little fun. Like I Marvel Superhero Island, I find any character experience there to be weirdly flirtatious. I don't know if you've had that experience, Demi. I'm always like, are we going to drinks after this? Dr. Doom? I had to talk to Dr. Doom today.
Oh my gosh.
But Igor asked for my digits, and then he meant my hands, my fingers, my digits.
That's so funny. Good. There's a video I don't know who it's from, but the really adorable video of somebody walking, holding his hand, but it's him holding the severed hand, and they're holding on to the severed hand and walking down the streets of Darkmoor is so cute. I love it so much. But that is so funny that it's canon. Like, it's canon.
Confirmed Victoria's a freak.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the bride of Frankenstein, and the bride does not believe that she is actually the great whatever granddaughter. Mm-hmm. She's a
fully
fraud.
Back this. I fully back this theory from the bride. I've heard it as well. And if you look in the queue of Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein family tree, her portrait's pasted up there.
Ooh, good catch.
I just got wait a minute, are you serious?
Yeah. So when you're in Darkmoor, for those that don't know, when you're in Darkmoor Dark Universe, anything you hear from the characters is considered a rumor. So there's these rumors around the land, and it's up to you in your exploration to figure out what rumors are true or not. I personally believe, Victoria, you having a favorite riding crop to drive Igor is very true. But,
that's true. I was going to say, we're believing that.
But they're all, if you hear something from a character, it's a rumor, and there are hints around the lands what rumors are true. And the bride firmly believes that, and her portrait's pasted on the family tree. So the bride says that Victoria laid claim to Frankenstein Manor several years ago to do experiments on monsters. Maybe she's a Frankenstein mega fan. She is a freak.
Yeah, but like, okay, but is it a spoiler to say what she says at the end of the ride?
I don't think so.
Like, that's a pretty powerful statement. Just for the next 10 seconds, anybody who does not want to be spoiled by Victoria Frankenstein's last words in the ride, I'm going to say it. But she does have that moment where she's like, all monsters will bow to the name Frankenstein. But that feels like a very powerful thing to me to say if you are not of that lineage. And if there are people that in your town that believe you're not of that lineage, because then you're not doing, and she clearly knows that they know, but if you're saying that, you're not doing anything to help the family that you are apparently a stan of by saying that they're bowing to the name Frankenstein when they're actually not. They're actually bowing to you.
Yeah, I clocked that too. And that's why it's very confusing. So it's like, is she or isn't she? I think that's the whole point of the rumors that you hear from the monsters.
That makes me love this land even more.
It's so wonderful.
Well, speaking, one more rumor was, it's kind of adjacent, but it's I met the Invisible Man, and oh my gosh, you guys! As soon as right after I met him, I actually saw Quincy, and I showed her my picture with him, and I was just like, he was so mean to me, and I think I love him. I was like, I don't understand. I don't understand why I have these feelings of like, oh my gosh, I think I'm in love with this like a serial killer invisible man. But I think I am.
One thing I always say, there's a monster for everyone.
There is a monster for everyone, and mine is the invisible.
So
but he told me I mean, it's this is very clearly like not true. He's saying that he has never done anything shady ever. Well,
because he doesn't have a shadow.
Well,
right.
He is Dr. Griffin. If you're like not familiar with the Invisible Man, it's Dr. Griffin, and you're allowed to tell him whatever. But like what he believes is he is just an amazing scientist who is allowing you to see him in physical form of being in clothes and the mask, but he has never done anything, and you cannot prove it.
No. Well, that is interesting. I did not think it was possible for me to love this land even more, but this conversation has made me love it so much. I was hearing things from people who had been before I went that they were saying that the land's like kind of small and it's not, and like they really need to expand on it. And maybe it does kind of seem like maybe, which seems odd to me that the company behind Halloween Horror Nights would maybe pump the brakes a little bit on the intensity of this land, but it still does feel very complete to me. And if you judge it for what is there, I mean, somebody even pointed out, I saw on X the other day, that there are lights at night that show like the villagers coming toward the burning blade before it happens. And I'm like, that is like, if you look to the left of it, there are orange lights in the bushes, and you obviously can't see this during the day, but they start on the left, and as the sounds of the villagers approaching gets louder, the lights move in the bushes before they get to the windmill. And it's like, there's so much detail here in the queue, which Quincy, the day that we went for the VIP tours, like that VIP tour, to anybody who is thinking about doing a VIP tour, be forewarned. I would even suggest, if you pay for a VIP tour at Epic, you tell them you want to go through the Monsters line, because the VIP tour skips everything in that queue.
It doesn't just it doesn't just bypass it. Express, you see a couple of scenes. Single rider, you actually see a couple of scenes. If you were walking in the exit and going up, basically, and it's the same actually, unfortunately, for the accessible entrance. Yeah. So, but yeah, you're bypassing a very cool queue.
Yeah. And it's because I watched all these videos going up after, and I was like, oh my God, I totally would have skipped, I would have even skipped, to be honest, I probably would have skipped Minecart if they were like, you can just wait in line for monsters. I would have been like, okay.
And I have to tell you, I went and it was like a 60-minute wait, and it didn't feel like 60 minutes.
It's such a cool queue.
It's such an amazing queue. It very much has that Hogwarts Castle feel, because you go into the outside part and then you go back in the inside, and there's just so much to see, and it's constantly moving too, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So it's worth every second. I actually was like, oh, well, let's see single rider. I went out there first, and I immediately got off single rider because you don't get to see the main pre-show part of it, and you see very little of the queue. But I mean, you do get to get on the ride pretty quickly. But please, especially for your first visit, do the wait. It's so worth it. You're not really. It doesn't feel like you're waiting. You're just getting and being immersed into the experience. And for people who are like, oh, the land is small, part of the queue is that land. You
That's
gotta
actually
have that.
A great point.
That's a great point, Demi. Yes,
do it.
The whole
Even
land.
if you don't want to do the ride, just do the queue.
Just do the queue. It feels like a walkthrough experience.
That's what I'm doing with my parents. I think my dad will get motion sick on this, but we are planning to go in the queue, and we're going to chicken exit. I also will warn, I did the single rider line, and obviously I was alone. And it is, though there's not anything grand. The theming is grand in the main queue. There's nothing grand. It's still immersively themed. And I was afraid in the single rider line by myself because it feels like you are in a small dark hallway of Frankenstein Manor trying to find your way. And no one's in there because it's the single rider line. You're alone. Yep. It's dark, and they're playing the scary noises, and it's still immaculately themed. And I was like, do I need a candle in a little saucer? It's scary.
It is scary. There's a lot of noises. I think that's one thing that people need to be aware of with this accessibility is if you are if that's like a trigger for you of like not like even just loud noises, but just like immersive noises to make the scene happen for you, wear yourself some earmuffs.
Yeah. The queue, I got stuck in the Monsters queue. I waited in it one time and I got stuck, which I didn't mind, but the flashing lights are quite intense in just the queue. So if you are sensitive to flashing lights, don't do the queue. I mean, it is seriously that lightning thing that's big in Darkmoor, and it is huge in Frankenstein Manor.
Even some of the YouTube videos I was watching, like some of the video was like tripping out because it was crazy.
It's like the flashing lights are very intense, and I have no sensitivity to flashing lights. I was in there long enough that I was like, okay, we have got to get this queue moving. But when it moves normally, there's not really an issue. But sensitivity to flashing lights, steer clear. It is rough in there.
But do not steer clear of this ride in general. I think I don't have motion sickness, but I would even say, like, if I did have motion sickness, I would be like, I would do this and just for the experience of it and suffer through the motion.
Literally, I get sick on this ride. That's literally my feeling. I've ridden it more than any other ride in the park, and it's I get motion sick on it, and I don't care. I'm like, I'll suffer.
Good. It's so good.
The first time I rode it, I did not expect to. I had no expectations because I didn't want any spoilers, and it's very similar, like a more updated version of Forbidden Journey, the same kind of ride system, but it's way more. There's a lot more happening. There's like a whole point where like you're kind of like on your back for a while.
Oh yeah.
But it's like so I got off, and then you have the moving platform, and actually Jackie, super enthused,
Jackie
just had gotten off. She's still standing there, and like I literally am like, and I like stumble over and like I hold on to her. I'm like, I'm dying. That first one, but I think it was because I had no indication of what was going to happen, and then I have ridden it more than any other ride, and I'm fine now. Yeah. And it's amazing. And the scale of everything in there is unbelievable. And I have another Easter egg for everyone.
Cool. Okay, say
courtesy of our friend John from Gratuitous Theme Parks. He had a friend with him that works for Universal. And if you look closely, this is a little bit of a spoiler. So if you don't want the spoiler, skip like 10 seconds. When you see our friend Gilman, you can see some HHN icons.
Jack the Clown included. Jack the Clown included.
The Clown.
In the around where Gilman is, there's heads. And Jack the Clown is obviously the biggest one, but I think there's a couple. There's 3.
Yeah. I think so. I didn't realize it. Because it goes, you're moving so fast, like it's like something you have to like quickly catch. And
is my Marshmallow Man one of them?
I don't believe that the Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters is in.
Not my little marshmallow s'more guy.
No,
that I got married to. That I made Quincy film all the footage for as we were desperately running to our next house. Quincy was like, "All right, Joey, go ahead.
Film your marriage."
Surprised you ate anything at all.
Oh yeah, okay. Thank you for bringing that up because that is what I wanted to talk about briefly with Dark Universe because I want to make sure we talk about Potter too. But I cannot. And Demi has been like so fascinated by this recently. Yes. I truly cannot, like Dust Steakhouse. I was in there for 3 minutes. By far my favorite vibe in a quick service I have ever done in a theme park. It is so sick. It is incredible. That little creepy girl at the beginning. Okay. If you look at her, it looks like her eyes are following you. I was so creeped out by that. And then the dead vampire. I didn't even see all the dead vampires. There are more dead vampires that I even saw that like I guess they're outside because I only saw the ones on the inside and I was blown away. But that quick service is crazy, the vibes in there. However, and the same thing happens to me at HHN. I cannot eat around gross things. Like, I just can't. I had to walk. I made the mistake one time of walking through the tribute store while eating an empanada, and I wanted to throw up. I don't want to, as I am eating a delectable treat, I don't want to visually be confronted with, like, a plasticky Halloween smell and, like, the hair of a werewolf and the fangs and blood. It makes me want to throw up. And Demi's like, I think this phenomenon is like singular to you. I'm sorry.
I posted a TikTok of Steakhouse and somebody commented the same thing.
Yeah.
And I tagged Joey. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're not alone.
Yeah, I thought I was, but I really can't. That s'more man, I am so surprised that I ate that s'more thing because I just feel sick to my stomach at Halloween Horror Nights and I just can't. And it's not even like seeing gore on its own doesn't like gross me out. It's only when it's paired with eating something that I can't do.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, especially the smells, like that plastic Halloween smell is terrible.
Oh, that paired with like synthetic hair and on like the okay.
But Das Steakhouse, and everyone should go watch my foodie guide to the Dark Universe. Das Steakhouse is definitely the best quick service in this park. I've eaten everywhere, remember? And the theming is unreal. But it could actually. I don't find this land to be too scary for young ones, I think, unless they're like terrified of everything. But Das Steakhouse could be the thing that scares the children.
It's the most intense environment in the park for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steer clear and go in the daytime if you've got scared. Like if you're in dark more in daytime, I think your scaredy cat kiddos would be fine. I was a scaredy cat kiddo. I would have been fine. But Das Steakhouse is intense.
The crazy thing for me is, though, before we move on to Potter, is when people are like, why did they build this in Florida? And I'm like, where did you want them to build a world-class
also,
themed
I'll tell you one
attraction?
Thing. Thunderstorms are very scary, and it will thunderstorm like nobody's business all summer. And
Darkmoor in hurricane season?
Incredible.
Let's get our ponchos. We're going in a hurricane. We're doing it. Also, before we go to Potter, one thing, I saw somebody online say something or hint at, because apparently there was the long-rumored Creature from the Black Lagoon boat ride that allegedly got cut from the plans. Apparently there's something by the entrance that if you look that hints at that attraction or something.
That's a thing. Joey, I did not know that was a thing, and I said in my Dark Universe foodie guide when I was drinking the Lagunita based off the Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I want them to expand. Oh, you know, what would be great. I was like, I wish there was more Creature of the Black Lagoon stuff. I was like, how about Creature of the Black Lagoon River Adventure?
Yeah. No,
that's a real thing?
That was the long rumored, never confirmed officially, but apparently the phase one plan did initially include, or I shouldn't say phase one because it wasn't on the very first concept art for Epic, but at some point there was allegedly a Creature from the Black Lagoon boat ride that was planned for the land but got cut in early stages before concept art was even
Universal,
released.
I will do whatever it takes to get this ride built.
Yeah, it would be amazing.
I will work for free. I'll build it with my own hands. Please give me the Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Demi speaks for herself in that. I cannot say that. Demi, you speak for yourself.
And I don't even like water attractions, but I need this one.
Yeah. Well, speaking of attractions I will do anything for, though, I was blown away by Ministry. And I'm also seeing divided opinions on this, which I do not get. I'm like, yes, there are screens. Yes, the same scene technically appears like 4 times, just with different things happening. But that effect with the ride vehicle and the way they make it seem like you are traveling up and down such great distances while you're actually really not moving that much at all. I'm like, I don't care if that happens 4 times in the same similarly constructed scene because it's so incredible.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah, I mean, what somebody pointed it out to me after, and I was just like, it didn't bother me because you want to talk about scale on a ride. I mean, the screens are massive, but they are such good backdrops in the gigantic scenes to like stuff that is actually happening in the foreground. Like that one, I don't know what Harry Potter stuff is called. That wand person with the
Death Eater?
Sure.
The Death Eater animatronic?
Yeah, the wand person.
That was a person. I swear.
No.
When I saw that first time, I thought it was a live actor. It took me about 10 seconds watching it to believe that it was a robot. The screens, I heard this from someone who works with Universal. I don't know the credibility of this, but potentially the largest screen in the world is the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I was told by this person that the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th largest screens in the world are in this ride.
I was told that as well by somebody.
Great.
Yeah.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. Well, it's corroborated.
Yep. I was told that as well. Yes. You know what? I believe
it. I mean, looking at it with my eyes, I believe it. There was stuff that I was like, there's no way this is a screen what I'm looking at, but also there's no way it's real.
I was the whole ride. I remember I actually when the time the ride ended, my mouth was so dry and I was like, why is my throat so scratchy? And then I was like, oh, literally because my mouth was hung open the entire ride.
I
that picture, I love that picture of Demi.
My picture of me and my friends riding this for the first time. We're all in shock.
Oh, that's so
My
good.
friend Christopher's literally clutching his fake pearls. Like, we were all like,
I have that as a sticker on my phone, Demi. You're cut out of you just going like this. That's a sticker on my phone, and I send it to people now.
I love that.
It's amazing. I love it. But no,
I mean, yeah.
It's incredible. And the queue, oh my God, the queue.
It's the longest queue in the world, but bless them for doing it because the entire queue is indoors.
I know.
Yes.
What an incredible thing to do.
What a gift. What a gift.
Truly. It's like, and it's so, I mean, I said, and I stand by this, I'd wait in line to wait in that line. It is so cool.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love it. I love being in there. I love the ride. I think it's unbelievable. Amazing technological feat. I don't think it's the most fun, if that makes sense. Like, I don't have a rollicking good time on it. I'm just wowed. Which is, whereas I have a rollicking good time on Monsters and on Stardust Racers, of course. But so for me, like, the queue experience is so incredible, and the ride is so incredible. But the queue for me is like just as good as the ride, just because like it's so cool. Yeah. And it really feels like you're there, like for real.
It's a walkthrough attraction on its own. Like it really is.
Again, if you don't want to like go through on the ride, just go through the queue.
Go through the damn
when
queue.
You walk in and you see the scale of the ministry, I mean, the thing with this park, and they kept telling us, and we just did not really want to believe it.
Yeah, we were like, okay.
You don't want to get your hopes up.
Everything. Like, and it's in every land. This like you know how like in most theme parks it's all forced perspective. This not
is real.
Here. This is full scale buildings, full scale mountains, full scale everything. And it's like this is why I love this place. This is why I want to be there every day. I do want to give my one little opinion though on Ministry. Yeah. And because the first time I wrote it, I was like in such a state of shock. I had no idea what was going on. I want to say, and I'm going to try to say this as not a spoiler, but there are some things that I hope gets fixed, and it is regards to
I think I know what you're going to say.
People on the screen.
Yep.
And their gaze with their eyes and the syncing with their mouths. A lot of it is off. And because the second time I was sitting there like stone-faced, just like staring at everything. I wanted to like really take everything in, really look at everything. And that was the thing that really stood out to me, is they're like looking off that way and I'm over here. And their mouths were off. And then, I don't know why they did this.
I think you're going to...
The projected faces on the animatronic, which is like we make fun of it all the time about like Frozen and Epcot. And it's like, oh, I'm so surprised. And it's very dim.
It's like muddy. It's not clear.
Like their faces are like too narrow for the projection.
The Victoria one looks fine.
Yeah. I love the Victoria ones. Like it's like that is I think the most, although I saw Victoria shut down. They now have her covered with a scrim when she doesn't work. I saw her in the pre-show. I saw her inactive.
With her hollow eyes.
No, I don't think they had a projection on her, but I think she might be painted also. Like either they had the projection on to not freak everybody out, or her face is actually, she looked the same and she was off. And they cover her with a scrim now, but I'm not sure. She looked exactly the same. She looked just immobile.
I saw a TikTok where she didn't have the, what do you call it, a scrim? She did that was not on her, and her face was not projected on.
So maybe I saw her with her face projected on. I do,
and she just wasn't working.
I think that is the way animatronic faces should be done, the way Victoria's is, which I think is it's the same method on Potter, but I think a little bit worse executed.
Yeah.
I also, does anybody else have wig issues on Potter?
I have to like look again. Yeah, but why?
Surprisingly, I was not looking at wigs. That is the one time I will ever say that. I was not looking at the wigs.
No, I was that was one of my first impressions. Actually, was that the hair looked a little whack. So I don't know, I don't know what that was. Like, I think it's because the ride was so shockingly, incredibly immersive to me.
Yeah,
and then there was one thing that fell out of place, and for me, it was the hair.
You were like watching a Nicole Kidman movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh no.
I'm always looking at her wigs.
Yeah.
And I always giving her bad wigs.
And I will say at the end of the day, like, do I like Harry Potter? Like, no. I mean, Harry Potter's just not my thing, but I think when you do good theming, like Universal Creative has done great immersive experiences through all of these Harry Potter lands. Like, it doesn't matter if you...
My favorite land is Burke. That's the same thing.
And right, exactly. Exactly. And it just is a testament to how well they are doing all of these lands on such an incredible scale. And let me tell you, that butterbeer crepe also.
Oh my God, it's heaven.
Mama, like, you endure your motion sickness with monsters. I endure my gluten allergy with that butterbeer crepe. I was like,
they better make it available to get it as a walk up, because right now you can only get it when you sit down at the cafe.
They're going to. They have to.
They really need to, because it's the... I've tried almost everything. One of the best snacks in the park, one of the best snacks at Universal, period. The best version of butterbeer, in my opinion.
I mean, Cafe Lair in general is awesome. Like, I've had a lot. I've eaten a lot there. One of my video series I'm doing is I'm spinning the full park day open to close in each land, which there's not enough to do.
Ooh.
So I translated every sign from French to English in Harry Potter. I know what they all say.
Well,
I love that. That's so good.
I ate at Cafe Lair twice that day, and I've eaten other days because Le Goblinard was closed. So I have had a lot of Cafe Lair, and I haven't had a bad thing. So they're cooking over there.
The bouffe is so good.
Very good.
But wait, speaking of translating things from French to English, Quincy, can you please tell everybody your Easter egg that you gagged me with recently?
I'm like scared to say this because I don't want them to take it down.
No,
but there is a tailor in Wizarding Paris, right by Bar Moonshine. It's a really cool spot because there is wand magic in the window, and there's actually a little, if you listen, you can hear conversations from the apartment upstairs, and at night you can see people up there. Very cool area. There's a sign on the tailor about who works there, and it says Les Sœurs Ciseaux, which in English is the Scissor Sisters.
They definitely did that on purpose.
And that is on a sign in the corner in Wizarding World Paris. It says the Scissor Sisters, which is likely...
Maybe they're just fans of the band.
They're fans of the band. That band is in Trek too. That's probably it. That's probably why.
There's a connection there.
Is this my introduction to our far, far away land that they're going to finally give us?
That's probably going to be the entrance. It's right behind the Scissor Sisters sign.
I wonder if French families who come over and see that are going to have something to say.
And I took a lot of French. I saw it and I was like, now I know what that says. That I can't be right. And I Google translated it and I was like, I'm right. And I sent it to Joey and I said, look at this. And then Demi, I literally tried to find you because I knew you were in the park, and I was like, I have to tell someone. I have to tell someone what this sign says, and I couldn't find you. But it says the Scissor Sisters right there.
And here we are. I mean, what a great what a great little Easter egg to find.
Fans of the band.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think we have covered a lot of this land, or a lot of this park, and I think the last question that I feel like it's a common one, but one that I think is still worth us discussing quickly here is, and I'll just give my opinion first briefly, does Disney need to be worried about Epic Universe? I don't know that it's a relevant question, because I saw somebody say when the theme parks are competing with each other, everybody wins because we're all getting great new attractions. And it's
that might have been me. I posted a reel that said that.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, it's very true. And I just think it's as simple as they are both doing the same thing in a broad sense of we are making amazing immersive themed entertainment. However, I think their approaches to it are just so vastly different that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Disney, as a business, sure. When another business that you're competing with is doing something on the scale of this, sure, maybe be a little bit worried. But Disney is, with all of their issues that we've had recently, they're going to do something amazing too. So worried? No. Impressed? Yes.
Here's the thing. What people need to realize about Disney, and as much as I love this park more than anything, honestly, at this point, I don't know if I've loved a park more. And, but the fact is that there are so many people who are Disney only people, and they don't care about Universal. and they're not really interested. Even if they put out this new park with the most incredible technology, they are Disney people. Now, what will probably happen is you'll get those people who are not Universal people who are going to Disney with their DVC or their once-a-year trip or whatever, and they're going to add a day at Epic Universe.
Yeah.
They're not going to go to studios or islands. They want to see the new park. They're going to do one day. They're going to stay at their Disney resort, and then they're going to go back to Disney. And I hate that because obviously we love both parks, and I think both parks give me feelings of things that, you know, one park does and the other park does, right? And I love having that. But, you know, if that's really the reality. Like, I would love for people to do a full-on Universal trip, like stay at a Universal hotel, which I love so much. I love the Universal hotel.
I'm here right now. I love it.
Yep, you're here right now. I love it. And you know, do days in both parks. Go to Volcano Bay. Go to do your day in Epic and like really immerse yourself, because they are incredible parks. But I just know the community and the clientele of people too well to know that. And I'm getting the feedback directly to me of like, we're gonna do like one day at Epic.
Yeah. One thing that I will say. I fully agree. I actually think, like, I'm sure the teams are really like thinking about Epic and how to step it up. And I think that's a good thing for us as the consumer. And I'm sure that they're very stressed. But in the grand scheme of things, like, Disney is operating from a family friendly and nostalgia standpoint, that as much as we don't want to let them ride on that, they are always going to have that in a way that Universal doesn't, just simply because of the IP. That said, one thing that I think that Disney should be very like aware of, and that I think will happen with that I want to actually recommend to people, is I see a lot of feedback in our comments and in conversations about Disney that people don't feel the magic when going to Disney anymore from a customer service perspective, from a value for dollar perspective. And to those people who have sworn off Disney already or are considering swearing off Disney because you aren't feeling the love from the company, that like maybe you don't feel the extra touches, you don't feel the care anymore from Disney, which I love Disney. I go all the time. There are things that Disney doesn't do that they did when I was a kid that I loved, that are just, they have realized they don't have to do it. And so they've stopped. And Universal is still doing that stuff. Universal's parks, their new park has been built with 100 things everywhere you look that didn't need to be done. And Universal loves their visitors still. And it's still expensive, but it doesn't feel as a lot of the criticisms of it as Disney is that every little thing is nickel and dimed.
Yeah.
And Universal, though a similar experience happens, it's still a theme park. It hasn't, like, Disney has moved into a direction, particularly post-COVID, where it feels like they're attempting to manage people, not give people the best experience. And frankly, that's a result of demand. There are so many people going to Disney that Disney is fighting to manage the crowds that they are getting. So sometimes you feel like you're being managed and herded and figuring out the best way for the most people to experience these things. Universal wants people right now. So if that's something that you are fed up with at Disney, or are thinking about, oh man, I really miss when Disney didn't feel like that, you should book a Universal trip. It just doesn't feel like that.
I agree. And I'm going to have a whole accessibility video out soon. The one thing that I really, you know, Disney has definitely changed their policy on is accessibility access. And if you have decided to stop going to Disney because of being denied accessibility access, Universal has a great third-party system, and you should not have an issue of, hopefully getting that accessibility need. And there could be a place for you there. So please consider that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think these are all really great points to consider. And look, we have gotten through talking about this park in an hour and 15 minutes. But we could go on forever and ever. But that's just a testament to how amazing this park is. We barely scratched the surface on everything that you can do here, on all the great things here. But what a fun ride it's been. What a spicy ride it's been. Quincy, thank you so much for doing this. You are just such a joy in my little life, and I just love that you did this with us, and I cannot wait to see you when I get back down there. Yay! Yay! I can't wait. Thank you again, Quincy.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yes. Yeah. Another episode down, another portal entered. What world will we end up in next? Tune in next week when Park Peeps returns with another new episode all about merch. Until then, follow the show at Park Peeps Pod and make sure to follow me at Joey Nolfi on all socials.
And keep up with me for many more epic adventures and other theme park coverage at Magical Hijinks, that's HIJINX, on YouTube and socials. Join us again on Tuesday for another episode. Until then, beware of kissing Dracula animatronics.
Woo!
Good night.
Good night.